Thank you so much for staying with us here on eNCA. You're watching the Saturday morning edition of Newslink, and that is the Saturday morning edition of the 2023 Rugby World Cup winning Springboks Trophy Tour right now. We've seen Morena Matupi's in the studio with me this morning as we continue to bring you these fantastic scenes of celebration. We've seen so many special scenes since it kicked off on Thursday. Indeed, since the team arrived at the airport and you were there. And this is the Durban version of it, isn't it?
This is the Durban version. What you're seeing there in your picture is the potential Mrs. Faf de Klerk. As you can see her there.
There is already a Mrs. Faf de Klerk, technically.
Well, I mean, we are also a country that, you know...
Symbolically.
Exactly.
Symbolically.
Exactly. But yes, you're seeing people just clad in their Springbok flags, waving their Springbok flags. Those are South Africans are people that really have the sense of urgency from time to time, especially when they're on the road. We're very impatient people on the road, but do you see anybody that is impatient on that road right now?
Did you see the highways in Cape Town yesterday?
I mean...
Now, I know those highways very well. There were cars just parked on the side of the main highway going in and out of Cape Town, and people just standing, hundreds of school kids running along the highway as it made its way from the city and towards Langa as well. Fantastic scenes.
It's important to note that this bus is moving, but a lot of these people are still just standing there and waiting, and I think it's almost as if they're soaking in the moment. They're soaking in the atmosphere itself. They're soaking in, I think, what is a pleasure and a once in a, well, in our case, a once in a every 4-year occasion where you get to see your world champions.
Morena, technically, we have seen this 4 times in our lifetime.
Yes, we have.
No English fan will ever be able to say that. Let's just put that on the record.
No English fan will ever be able to say that. Australians can boast the fact that they were the first nation to win it twice, which they did in 91 and 99, but we are the first nation to have won it 4 times. And I think it's the significance of our victory this time around is we won it against the same team that gave us our first title. And when we won this first title, mind you, we did it with an official who was English. So I'm just saying, can the referee in the 2027 Rugby World Cup in Australia in the final be English? I don't care who the opponent is, but can they be? Actually, no. The opponent cannot be English. So whoever is the next Wayne Barnes, and thank you to him and his service to the game of rugby.
Because he is now retired.
He has retired after 111 Test matches.
Sure.
And the 111th and most important one is the reason why we are now on that open top bus with the William Webb Ellis Trophy. So as I was saying, our first World Cup title, an English referee, the All Blacks in the final. A historic 4th World Cup title, the All Blacks in the final with an English referee. It is such a significant victory. It has got so much rich history in it, and I think one of the most other important things is the fact that we, through the last 2 World Cups, have smashed all of the transformation, targets. We do not talk transformation anymore where the Springboks are concerned, because even when you look at our franchises, it starts from there. When you look at the grassroots level in schools rugby, there is so much transformation there as well. Yes, a lot of credit will go to Rassie Erasmus because it was at the very top where that transformation needed to happen in the Springbok team.
And indeed, there's been a lot of talk about the pipeline of talent. And we knew that for a very long time, attention needed to be paid to that pipeline. Because our schoolboy rugby has always been extremely healthy and it's always been extremely diverse. But the problem came with what happened to those players after they left school. And how did they get lost in the pipeline? And that is something that somebody like Rassie Erasmus and the team and the people at SA Rugby decided to finally arrest. To take care of that pipeline. And that's why you hear a lot of players in the squad saying, I know Rassie since I was 19 years old. Siya Kolisi had said so, Eben Etzebeth has said so, I think even Dion Fourie had said so. And that means this success is not overnight. This success has been brewing and has been nurtured for more than a decade. And that is a secret to success that rugby that will hold on to, that more importantly, other sports in our country need to be learning from.
If there's one great ambassador of South African rugby pipeline and South African rugby junior structures, it's Handré Pollard. He's not new to this world title phenomenon. In fact, this is Handré Pollard's 3rd world title when we speak of South African rugby as a whole, because you'll remember when he was in the under-20 national team with the junior Springboks, he marshalled South Africa to that victory as well in 2012 when he was still very young, wet behind the ears, still trying to find his feet, and now here he is, a 2-time world rugby champion, and of course one of the greatest fly halves this game has ever seen. So our pipeline is absolutely incredible. But I think another thing perhaps when we look now into the future and what the next national team coach has to do and what the next group of players need to do is we need to take a leaf out of the French book, because they're dominating right now that junior level. You know, their under-20s are one of the greatest.
They've got some beasts, and
They've
they
got
had,
amazing.
I think, 1 or 2 of them in the senior side at the World Cup as well.
So we need to also go back to, you know, the drawing board with that area of South African rugby, because we have not been that great when it comes to the junior box. But when we look at what we're coming through from school level, and we just make sure we just harness that talent with the junior box and start winning those world titles, what the Springboks will be feeding off of that is going to be absolutely incredible. We could be getting essentially to a 5th world title before New Zealand get to a 4th. And I mean, I speak of New Zealand only because the two of us as rugby nations don't have any competition.
Yeah.
You know, it'll either be...
And there's also a great respect between the two rugby-loving nations, isn't there?
And that speaks to why it has only but been New Zealand and South Africa that have won all the World Cups in the last 2 decades. No other nation but the two of us, the greatest nations in world rugby, have been winning this World Cup. I talk of 2007 was us, 2011 was New Zealand, 2015 was New Zealand, 2019 was us, 2023 was us.
You see those pictures of the names of the countries engraved on the side of the Webb Ellis Cup, and it's basically New Zealand, New Zealand, South Africa, South Africa.
That's right.
It's almost like Federer, Nadal, Djokovic kind of vibe.
It's almost Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi. Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi.
Absolutely. But that grassroots level is also important. And the trophy tour going through the various provinces gives us an opportunity to focus on that. If you look at the scenes in the Western Cape yesterday, where rugby is a massive sport across the board. You have a team like the Stormers that's really set the world alight, because South African teams only recently joined these big competitions in Europe, and the South African teams have really pulled up their socks very quickly and got with the pace. And the Stormers team specifically doing so well, nurturing playmakers like Mani Libok, who got such important exposure at that international level, so that he could finally make that step to Springbok level, where he really covered himself with glory when we lost somebody like Andre Pollard to injury. Now we're in KZN, where we have the Sharks, who've got that huge investment financially from the likes of Marco Mazzotti, with big stars and big international marketing campaigns behind them. That makes a massive difference as well. But then allows the other provinces now to also say, right, where do we fit into all of this? We really need to pull up our socks. Again, something that Rassie Erasmus, as Director of Rugby, has pitched in on, and making sure that everybody is singing from the same hymn page, so that when those players hit the national camps at the various age levels, they kind of already are in the right space of the kind of rugby we want to play, what the important short-term and long-term goals are as well.
You make an important point to say that, you know, it was so great to change where we started playing our franchise rugby. So thank you, New Zealand and Australia, for kicking us out of Super Rugby. It definitely served us well, and it's starting to show why you also are now letting your players go up to the Northern Hemisphere. But that move from Southern Hemisphere rugby, that Super Rugby, really galvanized South African rugby and brought us to the level of where actual rugby in the world is, and that is European rugby. What Ireland and Scotland and England and Wales and the likes have been doing up there is something that the rest of the world has needed to match up to. We've got the raw and natural talent and amazing talent in South Africa and New Zealand, but a lot of our players have had to go north to really go and fit into where the game has moved today.
And let's face it, make that important international currency so that they can take care of themselves going forward. Another important point, we won't have a chance to discuss it right now, also be getting used to the level of refereeing at that level, which I think helped us a lot at the World Cup, and unfortunately did not help the All Blacks, who had, I think, the highest number of yellow and red cards and penalties against them, because they weren't used to the type of refereeing that our players have gotten used to taking part in those European competitions.
New Zealand players are used to Australian referees and vice versa. Argentinians as well, suffering the same kind of fate, and that's why they too have been struggling. South African players and South African officials, Jacques Nienaber and the likes of Rassie Erasmus, who've also plied their trade, has Rassie out in Ireland. They understand the game and where it's moved to. They know how to. We used to struggle with French referees.
Absolutely.
One of them is the reason why we got knocked out of the 2011 World Cup in the quarterfinals, controversially. But now We know how they think. We play to their strengths and their weaknesses, even though sometimes they frustrate Rassie. But Rassie, he's a special character. But we've come to understand how they officiate, and we now play their game a lot better than they do. And that is why we won the United Rugby Championship first. And I say we, as a South African franchise, that being the Stormers, the Bulls making it to the final as well. The Stormers making it to a second final last season. We now understand and have actually changed the dynamic and the identity of European rugby.
Okay, let's go to Sipokazi Malinga, our colleague who's standing by in KwaMashu. We do believe that this bus is only about 10 minutes or so away from KwaMashu, where fans have been patiently waiting, Sipokazi, for that bus to arrive. You can tell them it's just a few minutes away.
Yes, Marcel, they've been patiently waiting indeed. I mean, it's scorching hot here in Durban. The sun is out, but you know what? They're passionate fans, and they really, really do want to see the box. They will be coming from this side. We see police cars coming, so we can sense that they are quite close. Some of them have even opted to sit down because they've been here since this morning. They were told 8 o'clock, but you know what? That's what South African fans do. They rally behind the box. They'll do anything to see their favorites come through. And you know, there's a lot of excitement right now, and they're just looking forward to seeing the box come through. I am going to speak to a couple of supporters as well, fans that are here, and just ask them who are they hoping to see. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Who are you hoping to see today? Why Siyakolisi?
He is wenze umehluko omkhulu ekutheni sisonke si understand ukuthi irugby eyethu sonke akusiyona eyesizwe esithize esiwukhala othize lento ayenzile wenza ukuthi sonke sithi stand together and unite South Africans.
So the lady was just telling me she's looking forward to seeing Siyakolisi because he has united the nation. He has showed us that rugby is not only for an exclusive people, it's for everyone in South Africa. Who are you looking forward to seeing, and how excited are you?
Lukanya. I'm so happy to see him.
Are you excited?
That's all. I'm so excited.
Okay, so they're all excited, they're all waiting. It's been a long morning, but I'm just gonna walk around and show you as well the fans. We have fans that side. They're sitting down now because they are tired, but I will let them know that the box are coming soon. I can hear the noise they're making. They are really excited to be here and see the box come through. They've made us proud, and this is the time to celebrate the fourth World Cup trophy that they have won.
Okay, the very latest from KwaMashu there, where the trophy bus, the trophy tour bus, is apparently just a few minutes away. Hopefully we'll be able to bring you those pictures as soon as they hit that area where fans have been waiting with bated breath.